At the beginning of the story, we are shown that many years ago a warrior named Wenwu discovered the 10 rings, which were the most powerful rings in the world, for it was through these mighty rings that he received divine powers and the gift of immortality. However, Wenwu did not utilize the power of those rings for noble purposes, as his sole ambition was to become the most powerful warrior in the world. Consequently, by leveraging his 10 rings to build a massive army, he conquered numerous kingdoms and governments throughout history with effortless ease. Wenwu spent thousands of years wandering the world in pursuit of power and wealth. But one day, in 1996, he discovered a way to further amplify his strength, and that power lay within the village of Ta Lo. Mysterious powers, for it was believed that Talgon was an invisible village, hidden deep within the heart of a vast forest, a place where the inhabitants still possessed knowledge of the gods' martial arts, and where numerous magical creatures also resided. Therefore, without wasting a moment, Venu, accompanied by his companions, set out on a quest to find Talgon. However, the forest through which they were traveling was an illusory one. Consequently, their vehicle drove straight into a ravine. Yet Venu, harnessing the power of the 10 rings, managed to save himself from falling into the abyss. Now, he sets out on foot, heading back through that same mystical forest toward Ta Lo village. However, after traveling a short distance, he spots a girl named Yang Li, the guardian of this very forest. Venu immediately asks her for directions to Ta Lo village, but Yang Li flatly refuses to show him the way, stating that Ta Lo village has no need for people like him. Upon hearing this, Venu flies into a rage, and a fierce battle erupts between the two. They fight for a long time, but ultimately, using the powers of the 10 rings, Ying Li defeats Wenwu in the blink of an eye. However, amidst this battle, the two fall in love with each other. At this point, the scene cuts and fast forwards several years into the future. We see that the couple has had 2 children named Shang Chi and Jialing. Now, because Wenwu had finally found a happy family of his own, he ceased using the 10 rings, out of fear that the rings might bring harm to his family. Consequently, he locked the rings away inside a box. Now, Wenwu. And so, he and his family began to live a happy life. Just then, Shang asked his mother, "If Dad's rings were truly that powerful, how did you manage to defeat him?" In response, Ying explained to him, "Everyone in the village I come from is blessed with the magical powers of the great protector dragon, and upon whomsoever our dragon bestows its grace, no one can ever defeat them." Afterward, handing a locket to her son, Ying said, "Whenever you feel that you have lost your way, this locket will guide you back to the right path." However, one day, at a time when Wenwu was not at home, members of the Iron Gang arrived at their house, for Venu had previously attempted to wipe out both them and their entire kingdoms. That is why these individuals had now returned to exact their revenge. Upon witnessing this, Yang sends her 2 children inside the house and prepares herself to confront the Iron Gang. However, Yang no longer possessed her powers, as she had renounced all her abilities in order to marry Venu. Consequently, she was unable to withstand the Iron Gang's assault and was killed. Now, after the Iron Gang had departed, when Venu returned home and discovered Yang lying dead, he was left completely shattered within. Thus, he resolved to avenge his wife. By putting those rings back on, he begins to eliminate his enemies. Subsequently, he starts training Shang Chi in martial arts as well, and within just a few years, Shang Chi becomes a complete master of the discipline. Then, Wenwu reveals to Shang Chi that they have located his mother's killer. Consequently, Wenwu dispatches him, at the mere age of 14, to assassinate the leader of the Iron Gang. As he departs, Wenwu tells him, "When you return, the entire world will once again bow before the 10 rings." Shang Chi then sets out on his mission. However, after completing his mission, he flees to the city of San Francisco, where he adopts the name Sean, for he now desired to live an ordinary life. Deep down, he felt that what he had been doing was wrong. Subsequently, we are shown a scene set in the present, where Sean wakes up early in the morning and heads over to his friend Katie's house. After all, he and Katie had been very close friends for the past 10 years. Moreover, the two of them worked together at the same job as car valets. Then, one day, while they were both commuting to work by bus, some of the 10 Rings henchmen happened to be on board as well. The moment they spotted Sean, they immediately launched an attack on him. Actually, Venu had sent these men to take the locket from Shang-Chi's neck, but Shang refused to give them the locket at any cost because it was the only remaining memento of his mother. So, Shang, enraged, punches them hard, leading to a very dangerous fight, but in no time Shang defeats all of them one by one. Suddenly, a strong man named Razor Fist appears before him. Razor Fist was the most dangerous warrior of the 10 Rings, and the sword could effortlessly cut through anything. He was relentlessly attacking Shang-Chi with it. However, Shang-Chi, relying on his strength and agility, continued to evade his strikes, but inadvertently, due to Razor Fist's sword, the bus's brakes completely failed. Consequently, the bus began hurtling forward at full speed, and the driver lost consciousness, slumping to the floor. Upon witnessing this, Katie immediately rushed to the driver's seat and took control of the bus. Meanwhile, Shang was locked in a dangerous battle with Razor Fist. However, Razor Fist suddenly launched a swift, fierce strike at Shang with his sword. Shang dodges his attack, but his sword splits the bus in two. Seeing this, Shang immediately tells everyone on the bus to move to another compartment. He kicks Razor Fist and leaps onto another compartment. Razor Fist crashes into the other compartment, causing Razor Fist to crash into the other compartment. However, Razor Fist manages to take the locket from Shang. Afterward, Shang returns home in a panic. Shang prepares to go to Macau, knowing that his mother had given the same locket to his sister. So, to get the locket, the same 10 rings men are after him. They decide to turn back. At that moment, Katie asks Shang, "What exactly is going on here, and who are you?" In response, Shang reveals that the thugs who attacked them were sent by his father, and that they are now going to attack his sister. "That is why I must go to my sister immediately, because her safety is at stake." Upon hearing this, Katie decides to go along with Shang. Subsequently, the two board a plane and set off for Macau. During the journey, Shang tells Katie his entire life story. However, he lies to her about one thing. He claims that he did not complete the mission. Now, a few hours later, the two of them, they arrive in Macau, where they head straight to an illegal fight club. This is because the postcard Jialing had sent him bore this very address. Then, Shang takes an elevator up the building alongside Katie. However, Shang is tricked into signing a contract, a situation brought about because the video of the fight he had on the bus had gone viral. Consequently, they begin preparing him for a match. Their company live-streamed these events on the dark web, allowing viewers to place bets on the fights. When Shang steps into the ring, he discovers that the fighter standing opposite him is none other than his own sister, Jialing, who is absolutely furious with him. This is because Shang had abandoned his mission. Before leaving, he told Selling that he would return in 3 days, but he still didn't return, and this angered Selling. Enraged by this, Selling beats him very hard. Therefore, Shang loses the fight to his sister. After the fight is over, Selling meets Shang and asks him, "What do you want from me?" Shang tells her, "The 10 Rings Army, the people of San Francisco, attacked me and took my locket. So now they will come to you too, because mother, you have the same locket that Sem gave me, and our father wants to do something wrong with our locket." Then Selling tells him, "When you left me alone, I needed you very much, but you didn't come back. So I understood that I don't need you anymore, and I built this place on my own." Then Shang asks him, "Then why did you send me this postcard?" Surprised by this, Selling says, "I didn't send this postcard." Hearing this, Shang understands that his dad has framed him. Now, at that very moment, there are 10 rings. People rush in and begin attacking them. Upon seeing this, Jialing locks Shang and Katie inside the office and makes her escape from the premises along with her companions. Now, desperate to get out, Shang angrily smashes the building's glass facade and urges Katie to come along with him. However, Katie is terrified as she does not know how to traverse the bamboo scaffolding. At that moment, offering her encouragement, Shang tells her, "We have no other way to escape but this." Hearing this, Katie agrees. Then, bolstering each other's courage, the two of them head toward the elevator. But just then, members of the 10 Rings Army spot them. So, Shang immediately tells Katie, "Go on ahead quickly, I'll hold them off." Shang then begins fighting them fiercely. Meanwhile, just as Katie is making her way forward, a fighter attacks her, an assault that nearly sends her tumbling to the ground. But just in the nick of time, Jialing intervenes and saves her. Jialing and Shang then join forces and launch a fierce counterattack against their adversaries. At that moment, Shang turns to Jialing and says, "You left us behind to die." To this, Jialing replies, "Now you finally understand, don't you, what it feels like when someone abandons you in your time of need?" Together, the two of them proceed to defeat every single one of their opponents, taking them down one by one. Just then, the most dangerous man in the 10 Rings Army, the Death Leader, arrives. He attacks Jialing, snatches the locket from her, and attempts to flee the scene. Upon witnessing this, Shang immediately gives chase. Meanwhile, just as the Death Leader was about to leap onto a helicopter, Shang intervenes and prevents his escape. Consequently, a fierce battle erupts between the two. However, Shang is seething with years of pent-up rage, for the Death Leader had subjected him to brutal torture many years ago. Driven by this fury, Shang grabs him and begins to strike him relentlessly. Yet, just as Shang is about to deliver the final blow to the Death Leader, his father arrives and stops him. They stop, approach Shang, and say to him, "I missed you so much." No sooner had they said this than he ushered them all into a helicopter and set off toward their home. A short while later, when they all arrived at their house, the 10 Rings Army was there to welcome them. Then Jialing took Katie to her room, where Katie asked Jialing, "Will your dad kill us too?" To this, Jialing replied, "If you stay quiet, Dad will forget that you are even here. Because ever since Mom left, he has changed completely. He used to feel that I reminded him of Mom. That is precisely why they wouldn't even look at me. Consequently, I began training in martial arts entirely on my own, as I was not permitted permitted to train alongside the boys. So I would observe them training from a distance, from afar, and ended up mastering everything even better than they did. Then Katie asks, "When did you leave home?" Celine replies, "I ran away from here at the age of 16 because I had come to the realization that my brother would never return." Afterward, everyone gathers to share a meal. At that moment, Shang asks his father, "How did you find me?" Wenwu replies, "I had been keeping an eye on both of you all along. Therefore, the time has now come for you to stand by your father's side." Upon hearing this, Shang tells him that such a thing will never happen. Then, Wenwu takes Shang into a room where he tells him, "When the two of you ran away from home, the longing for your mother began to torment me even more intensely. So, I began seeking out even more information about her village, Talo. Through this, I discovered that deep within the mountains there lies a gateway, behind which the people of Talo have held your mother captive." Hearing this, Shang and Jialing do not believe a single word of what he says. Then Wenwu explains to them, "At first, I didn't believe it either. But one day, while I was sitting in this room engrossed in my work, I heard your mother's voice, as if she were right here somewhere. And your mother even told me that she needed my help." Then Shang asks, "Why would the villagers do this?" Venu tells him, "When we fell in love, your mother wanted us to live together in Talo village. So she asked permission from some of the old people in the village, but they flatly refused to let her live there, saying, 'I'm not worthy of this.' So Venu believes that Yangli is still alive, but the people of Talo village have imprisoned her." Then Shang tells he tries to reason with his father. His mother has already passed away. Subsequently, Venu leads them into the hall. There, as soon as they place the locket, a gift from his mother, into the eyes of the dragon statue, suddenly, a massive volume of water gushes out, flooding the floor, and as the water cascades down, a pathway begins to form on the ground beneath. Then Venu explains to them, "The path to Talo is a labyrinth. However, right in the heart of the forest, there lies a direct route, one that opens only once a year, on the day of Ekadashi. But to take it, one must know precisely when and where that path will open, and I know the secrets to both routes." Then, addressing his entire 10 Rings army, he declares, "3 days from now, we will liberate my wife from her captivity and bring her back home." Then, turning to Shang, he says, "I have brought you here so that you may assist me in retrieving your mother." At that moment, Selling asks, "What will you do if the villagers attempt to stop you?" To this, Venu replies, "If they do, the entire village will be reduced to ashes." Shang then tells him, "You cannot simply barge into mother's village like that." Upon hearing this, Venu flies into a rage, attacks Shang and Selling, and orders them to be thrown into the dungeon. Later, as Venu enters his room, he once again hears Yang's voice. She is saying to him, "We shall be together very soon." Meanwhile, Shang, Xiling, and Katie are locked up in a prison. Shang says that if they don't reach Talgaon before the deadline, he will completely destroy the remaining family members. Meanwhile, they hear strange noises, and as they follow the sound, they discover an actor named Trevor Slattery. Trevor tells them his story. "A long time ago, a producer offered me the role of a terrorist, but he was fooling me because the producer himself was a terrorist. That's why when I rolled, the police assumed that I was the terrorist. Consequently, they arrested me and threw me into jail. Subsequently, Vanu secured my release, specifically so that he could kill me. However, when I performed for him, his heart melted, and ever since then, Trevor has been putting on a show for him every single week." Trevor was still in the midst of recounting his story when, suddenly, a mythical creature appeared on the scene. Katie and Shang were terrified at the sight of it, for the creature, whose name was Morish, was completely headless. At that moment, Trevor informed them, "Morish can talk to me." Then Trevor explains that Morris says he knows you because he was staying in the village of Talo with your mother. However, your father brought him back from there while searching for a path through the elusive forest, and now he wants you to take him home with you. Then Shang tells him, "If it were up to me, I would certainly take him along, but according to my father, that path opens only once a year." Then Trevor says that Morris claims he can still take you there right now, and that you would even be able to navigate through that labyrinth, but it's very dangerous because no one has ever crossed it alive. Katie asks him how they'll get out of here. Meanwhile, Selling finds the tunnel and reaches them, tells them that Dead built a tunnel under the entire complex, and that she escaped through that tunnel last time. After this, they all go through the same tunnel to a warehouse, where they take the complex's car and leave. But the guards find out about this and come to stop them. Seeing this, they immediately start running through another route, but that route was only accessible with a fingerprint. In the meantime, members of the 10 Rings army attempt to stop them. Upon seeing this, Shang grabs one of the men and presses his hand against a fingerprint scanner, which opens up the path ahead. They then easily make their way out through that passage. By dawn, the group reaches the forest, and Morris guides them through it, navigating past the illusions of the mystical woods. They eventually arrive at a waterfall. As soon as they step into the waterfall, the water suddenly freezes solid, allowing them to pass through a secret portal that leads directly into the realm of Talo, a place teeming with mythical creatures. A short while later, they reach the village of Talo. They arrive at the village, where Shang introduces himself to everyone. However, the villagers pay absolutely no heed heed to his words and instead prepare to attack him. Just then, Yang Li's sister Nan arrives and stops them from attacking. Nan then approaches Shang and his companions, telling Shang, "I am your aunt." Nan is overjoyed to meet them. Shang then tells Nan, "We have very little time because our father is about to launch an attack here very soon." Upon hearing this, Nan leads them to the riverbank, where she reveals to them, "We are the guardians of the Black Gate, and your world, they protect us from the evils that are imprisoned behind this gate." Shang tells them that our father is coming to open that very gate because he feels that Mother is imprisoned behind it. Nan then asks why he thinks so. Selling tells him. They hear Mother's voice asking for help. Nan then tells them about the history of the locks. Our village is a small part of the universe of locks, but this universe is vast because there are cities here that are better than the entire universe. Thousands of years ago, our people, amidst it all, there was peace and prosperity, but that peace was shattered by a monster of darkness. For he brought with him an entire army of soul devourers. Any human who crossed his path was consumed by his horde, and with every soul devoured, his power grew even greater, until, little by little, he destroyed our world. Leaders of our village, Talu, dispatched their most formidable warrior. Yet, our ancestors could not withstand the might of those dark forces. Then, one day, the great guardian dragon helped us and turned our defeat into victory. Together with us, they locked the army of the Dark One and the Soul Eater behind this black gate. With the blessings of our Arch-Savior's magical powers, we, the people of the Locks, have protected this black gate to this day and will continue to do so until our very death. She then tells them that your father is not the only one who wants to open this gate, for many people have tried to open it for centuries but have been unable to do so. But one thing they all had in common was that they all heard a voice that kept telling them every time. She would lure them with visions of their wishes coming true. She then reveals to them that the Soul Eaters know they can break free using the power of the 10 rings. That is why your father, At, is calling out to you in your mother's voice. Afterward, Nan leads Shang and Xiaoling into the chamber of their ancestors. There, she tells them that their mother knew at that they would surely come here. That is why she had already instructed her on exactly what preparations to make. Then, handing them both a special kind of suit, she says, "After At losing their mother, every child in this world feels utterly alone. But you are not alone. You are children of this family of ours, and you are welcome here." Following this, everyone begins practicing. Meanwhile, Katie is also learning to shoot arrows. Elsewhere, Shang approaches his aunt and asks her, "How did my mother defeat Dad?" Nan then begins teaching him that technique. On the other hand, Wenwu tells his men, "We will set out for Ta Lo at the break of dawn, for that is when the path to Ta Lo will open." Meanwhile, Shang appeared quite troubled, as memories of the past, specifically the moment members of the Iron Gang killed his mother, came flooding back to him. Recalling all of this makes Shang extremely emotional. Just then, Katie arrives on the scene and Shang says to her, I lied to you when I said I couldn't bring myself to kill my mother's murderers. I thought that if I changed my name and identity, perhaps I would be able to forget what happened in the past. But if Mother were alive today, she would hate me." To this, Katie replies, "It isn't your fault because your father started molding you into a killer when you were just 7 years old." Shang then says, "My father is responsible for Mother's death and now he is coming to destroy his own home. So now I will finish him off completely because that is exactly what he taught me to do." With that, Shang leaves sadly. The next morning, everyone prepares for battle and Vanu arrives with his entire army. Looking at his son, Vanu says, "You've come to help those who have imprisoned your mother." Hearing this, Nan tells him, "Shang's mother isn't there. She's just a monster who wants to destroy everyone by misleading you." Vanu doesn't listen to a word and suddenly begins attacking them. A fierce battle ensues. Just then, Vanu closes the gate. He heads toward it to open it. Just then, Shang spots him. Consequently, he begins to pursue Wenwu. Wenwu then says to Shang, "Are you foolish enough to try fighting me alone?" Shang replies, "I am not afraid of you." Shang was still speaking when Wenwu suddenly launches a swift attack on him and says, "You have spent your entire life running away from me in fear, and you were right there when those men came to kill your mother, yet you did not save your mother." To this, Shang retorts, "After Mother died, she was the one who needed us, because you abandoned us and chose those 10 rings instead." Saying this, he lunges at him furiously, starts attacking. Shang continues, "If you want Mother to return to you, but would she want to come back to a man like you?" Hearing this, Wenwu flies into a rage and launches a rapid, simultaneous assault on Shang using all the rings at once. Consequently, Shang is violently hurled into the water. Afterward, Wenwu uses the rings to propel himself toward the gateway, for he could hear voices from within, voices pleading to Shang for help. He then begins to strike the gateway repeatedly and furiously with the aid of the rings in an attempt to shatter it. As a result, Soul Eaters begin to pour out from within the gateway. Upon witnessing this, Selling tells everyone that if we don't fight together, we'll all be killed because your weapons are useless against them. Razor Fist tells them, "We don't need your help because we're the 10 rings." Just then, the Soul Eater begins extracting the dead dealer's brother's soul. Seeing this, the 10 rings try their best to save him, but their weapons have no effect on them, and the Soul Eater extracts the dead dealer's soul and kills him on the spot. Then, the Soul Eater also attacks Razor Fist, but Nan saves him with her weapon, because only the Talon's weapons could kill them, because their weapons were too powerful. The upper section was clad in dragon scales. At this point, Razor Fist too realizes that they cannot face them alone. Consequently, members of the 10 rings step forward, ready to join the fight and lend their support. Meanwhile, the Soul Eater is retreating behind the Black Gate with the captured souls, seeking to amplify the power of the Beast of Darkness. Nan warns Xialing that if the Beast of Darkness's power were to grow any further, it would become unstoppable. Thereupon, everyone arms themselves and begins moving toward the water to confront the Soul Eaters. Meanwhile, Shang too is drowning in that very water. Just then, he recalls his mother's words when she had told him, "Do not fear, for the dragon's blessing is always with you, and you are a part of the goodness of both your father and me. Therefore, embrace with all your heart whatever we have bestowed upon you." Shang's eyes snap open. At that very moment, the great guardian dragon emerges from beneath the water and appears before him. Meanwhile, Wenwu was relentlessly attempting to break down the door, for he could still hear Young's voice. Elsewhere, everyone had joined forces and was launching a fierce assault upon the Soul Eaters. On the other side, Shang too turns his attention toward the dragon. He sits down and quickly emerges from the water. Now the dragon also begins to help them, and he begins to eat all the Soul Eaters one by one. Meanwhile, Nan tells Shang, "You must stop your father quickly." Hearing this, Shang goes to his father and begins to attack him rapidly. He tries to convince him that his mother is not there, but Vanu doesn't listen to him, and a dangerous battle ensues between them again. That's when Shang uses the skill his mother taught him in childhood. He turns the 5 rings to his side, and Vanu quickly attacks Shang with the remaining 5 rings. But Shang defends himself with his 5 rings. He then seizes all the rings, but he doesn't attack his dead with the rings and throws them down. Then Vanu tells Shang, "I must save Young because she's calling for help." Shang tells him, "This is all a lie." Meanwhile, suddenly, a dark monster emerges and attacks Shang. Vanu saves Shang with the help of the 10 rings, but the monster captures Vanu and he kills them, begins to drain the power. By now, Vanu too had fully realized that he was in the wrong. Consequently, he hands over all his rings to Shang, and Vanu is killed at the hands of that beast. Just then, the beast launches an attack on Shang. However, at that very moment, Sailing, riding atop the dragon, swiftly attacks the Beast of Darkness, leaving the beast injured. Since its powers were currently depleted, the beast begins to advance toward the village in search of more power to drain. Upon seeing this, Shang immediately uses stones to seal off the doorway, then mounts the dragon and heads toward the village to intercept the beast. The dragon swiftly attacks the monster with its power and captures it with its water powers. But then, the Soul Eater captures a large number of souls and throws them into the monster's mouth, increasing its powers even more. This frees it from the dragon's grip. The monster then grabs the dragon and begins to suck its powers. Meanwhile, Guangbi tells Katie that if the monster gets our dragon's soul, no one will be able to stop it, so we have to aim for its throat. They are about to aim for the dragon's throat when, just then, an Soul Eater attacks Guangbo from behind, seizing him and extracting his soul. Witnessing this, Katie is overcome with terror, for she has only a single arrow remaining, and having learned archery just the day before, she is ill-prepared. Meanwhile, the monstrous creature seizes Xialing and begins to attack her as well. However, Shang holds onto his sister with an unyielding grip. At that moment, Xialing pleads with him, "You must let go of my hand, or else that monster will extract the dragon's soul." To this, Shang replies, "I cannot let you go again." Just as the monster is on the verge of extracting the dragon's soul, Katie fires her arrow in the nick of time, striking the creature directly in the throat, passes right through it, thereby preventing the dragon's soul from escaping. The dragon then swiftly carries the beast toward the water, and just as the beast approaches the water's edge, the dragon, utilizing its power, seizes hold of the beast. Seizing this very opportunity, Shang uses his rings to thrust them deep into the beast's chest with great force. By manipulating the rings in a specific manner, he slays the beast, an act that results in the demise of all the Soul Eaters as well. Afterward, the dragon carries Xialing and Shang back to the shore. However, many lives were lost in this battle. Later that night, all those people,